Airline Flight 236 was en route from Toronto to Lisbon. It was around midnight, and the plane was hovering over the Atlantic Ocean at an altitude of 39,000 feet. But there was one thing in the plane that was going to change the whole situation in a few moments. Let me tell you here that the surface is not visible even far from the latitude of 39,000 feet above the Atlantic Ocean. Then the captain suddenly realized that the plane was about to run out of fuel. It was a very scary reality for the two pilots, because running out of fuel over the Atlantic Ocean can only mean one thing, and that is death. Once again, welcome viewers to Discover Discovery Videos. The incident took place on August 23, 2011 at Toronto Pearson Airport, where Air Transat Airlines Airbus A330 was being prepared for a 7-hour non-stop flight from Toronto to Lisbon, and therefore 48 metric tons of fuel was added, and after preparation, the boarding process was started. It was 9:00 p.m. local time. Flight 236 was carrying 293 passengers and 13 crew members, including two pilots. The flight captain was 48 years old, who was named Robert, and had a lot of flight experience, about 16,000 hours. The other pilot was Dirk De Jager, who was 28-year-old, and he also had 5,000 hours of experience, of which 400 hours he had flown the same Airbus A330. It was the state-of-the-art Airbus A330 model of the time, which was only 2 years old. Overall, there was no lack of experience of the pilots, nor was there any fault in the aircraft throughout the flight. After completing the checks, the pilots took Flight 236 to the runway, and with the permission of the ATC, they took off the plane. In minutes, the plane reached its cruising altitude of 39,000 feet. Generally, the pilots do not have much work on such long flights, because most of the work is done by the autopilot system. The pilots only monitor the situation and inform the control tower about their location and updates. It had been 4 hours since Flight 236 had taken off, and everything was still going well, and most of the people in the passenger cabin were sleeping because it was night. There was a moment when there was a problem in the plane. At 1:00 in the night, according to Canadian time, the pilot noticed an abnormal reading in the plane's engine number 2. That is, the plane's right engine. The oil pressure in the engine was showing high, and the oil temperature was also indicating low. This kind of error was seen by the pilots for the first time in their career. They immediately opened the flight manual and tried to find out about this strange error. The temperature rises, but here it was indicating low temperature, which was not normal at all. They could not find any information about this error in the flight manual. The pilots contacted the maintenance unit of Air Transat in Canada, and they notified about this error. Unfortunately, the maintenance unit was also not aware of this error. Faulty oil readings were showing, but there was no problem in the flight. The pilots relaxed, thinking that maybe a faulty sensor was giving wrong oil readings, but after half an hour another advisory message appeared. This message was displayed. Not oil-related but fuel-related. Commercial airlines have fuel evenly distributed in their wings, and it was noticed that both wings of Flight 236 did not have the same amount of fuel in the right wing. Now, normally this problem is not so serious, as this problem can be fixed in flight. To fix this problem, the captain opened the cross-feed wall, which allows the fuel from the left wing to the right wing. It started to go, and within minutes the amount of fuel in both wings was back to equal. It was only 10 minutes before the captain started seeing the low fuel warning, a problem that any pilot would have to face. Any pilot don't want to face this problem when plane is full of passengers. The pilot saw that the fuel in the right wing has decreased again, and now even if the two wings are combined, there is not enough fuel to reach Lisbon. There were not many options to divert the plane to the Atlantic Ocean. In fact, they had only one option, and that was Azores Island. An airport was there. The captain contacted Siena Marie ATC at the first opportunity and told them that he was going to land at this airport due to fuel shortage, but the pilot had not yet confirmed that he had reached the airport. At that time, there were 7 tons of fuel left in the plane. that is, about 7,000 kilograms. It is a lot to see, but actually was only 6% of the A330E's fuel capacity, and that too was decreasing very fast. But the question is, why was the fuel decreasing at last? Was there a faulty sensor giving incorrect readings this time? Or was there actually a lack of fuel? In case it is possible that there is a fuel leak from somewhere, the captain gave instructions to the flight crew to go and monitor the edge of the right wing. There will be an indication from there, but due to darkness the crew could not get any such indication now. The condition was that 1 ton of fuel was running out every 5 minutes. It became clear to the captain that the fuel must be leaking from somewhere. Now, they had only 25 minutes of fuel left, and it was not possible to reach Turchera Airport. During this time, the captain and the first officer were in constant contact with the maintenance unit and ATC. The maintenance unit gave instructions to the captain to confirm the fuel leakage, take the aircraft from 39,000 to 20,000 feet, but the captain refused to do so as the pilot believed that even if the fuel leakage was confirmed, it would not be possible to bring the aircraft back up. At least, they still have gliding option. In the next few minutes, all doubts were removed when the right engine of the plane caught fire. Passengers were sleeping, and their peace was covered by the clouds of fear. Now, there was half tons of fuel, and only one engine left in the plane. It was not possible to cruise the plane on this one engine. So now slowly, the altitude started to decrease on the other side. An emergency was imposed at the airport. Fire trucks and emergency crews started their preparations to deal with all kinds of situations. What happened was the actual fear. The left engine of the plane burned due to running on full throttle. And now, Flight 236 started gliding over the Atlantic Ocean without an engine. Here, the captain's decision not to drop the plane to 20,000 feet. It turned out to be correct due to the shutdown of both the engines. It was now dark inside the plane, because the electrical system of the plane also runs due to the engine. Now Turchera Airport was 120 kilometers away. The plane had descended to 30,000 feet, and the captain had to cross this distance only by gliding. There was a silence that might indicate some disaster. The worst case was that if the plane could not reach the airport, it would have to be landed in the ocean. That is why crew gave a warning to the passengers about landing in the water. Landing in the ocean is dangerous in every way, because even if the passenger survives the impact, they can drown, and if they don't, they can die of hypothermia due to the cold water. It is very difficult to glide the passenger plane. Everything was dependent on the pitch control of the plane, which the pilots were controlling with the manual stick. The plane will arrive at the airport or in the ocean when the distance of 15 kilometers from the airport. Then its altitude was 13,000 feet, and normally at such a distance, the altitude should be kept at 3,000 feet. If the speed of the plane is very fast, and the possibility of crash landing is very high in this situation, that's why the pilot made a 360 circle there. When this circle was completed, the distance from the airport was the same while the altitude was 5,000 feet. The altitude was still high, but not high enough to do another 360. So the pilot positioned the aircraft in line with the runway and applied some S-pins to the runway due to the S-turns. This gives more time to read the distance and reduce the attitude. Under normal landing conditions, the flaps are kept open, which creates drag and increases engine thrust, which raises the nose of the plane. Flight 236 did not have an engine. That's why this landing was very different from normal landing and very dangerous. The pilot had only one chance to land the plane either over the plane with a strong shock. It hit the runway and 8 of the 12 tires burst. It was a little difficult to stop the plane, but finally it stopped skidding. The Flight 236 was the first and last passenger plane in aviation history to hold the record for the longest flight time without an engine. The main reasons for the problems was that a part had been changed, but that part was from another plane. A loose fitting caused it to vibrate, which caused a nearby fuel line to freeze. After the incident, Airbus installed a new system that in the future Pilots will also be able to detect in-flight fuel leakage. You will also like and share this video. Thank you very much for your loving comments. See you in the next wonderful video.